Imagine you are an ordinary farmer living in Scandinavia in the 9th century. Your life is pretty tough, but at least you're free. You grow your crops, tend your animals, and live according to the old Norse ways. Then one day, a band of elite warriors shows up in your village, demanding that you and everyone you know and love pay them tribute or face the consequences. The warriors are led by a ruthless king who has conquered much of Europe and is bent on dominating the north as well. You might think that the villagers would just submit and pay their respects to the mighty king. After all, what choice do they have? But you'd be wrong. These villagers had a queen, and she wasn't about to let some outsider walk into her kingdom and tell her people what to do. This is the true story of the Viking Queen who defied an empire. Lagertha was born around 750 AD in Scandinavia. She grew up hearing stories of her father's valor and deeds in battle. He was a legendary Viking warrior, and she wanted to be just like him. As a young woman, Lagertha defied tradition and learned how to fight, hunt, and lead. When she was ready, she went out into the world and made a name for herself as a shield maiden, a female warrior. One day, Lagertha met and married a man named Reginfrid. He was a powerful king, and together they ruled over a large and prosperous kingdom. Lagertha bore Reginfrid many children, but he still wasn't satisfied. He wanted more power, and he was willing to do anything to get it. One day, Reginfrid set his sights on the kingdom of Saxony. It was a powerful and wealthy realm, and he thought it would be a great addition to his own. But there was one problem. The Saxons were fierce fighters, and they weren't about to let some outsider walk into their kingdom and take what was theirs. Reginfrid needed an army, and he needed it fast. So he turned to his wife, Lotte, and asked for help. Lotte knew that war was coming, and she wanted to prepare her people. So she did something that no one had ever done before. She assembled a shield wall of female warriors. They were trained, strong, and loyal, and they were ready to fight for their queen and their kingdom. Together, Lagertha's shield maidens and Reginfrid's army marched into Saxony. They fought bravely and fiercely, and in the end, they won the victory. Reginfrid was thrilled. He had the army he needed, and now he could take over Saxony and make himself emperor. But when he tried to claim the throne, the Saxons rebelled. They didn't want a foreign king, and they certainly didn't want a queen. The Saxons were defeated, but the war was far from over. There were other kingdoms to conquer, and other enemies to defeat. And so Reginfrid and Lagertha continued to fight. They battled through the north, taking over kingdom after kingdom, and along the way, they made many powerful enemies. One of their greatest rivals was Charlemagne, the king of the Franks. Charlemagne had been watching the rise of the Saxons with interest. He had always wanted to expand his own kingdom, and the Saxons were the perfect target. But he wasn't about to let some foreign king stand in his way. So he raised an army and marched into Saxon territory. The battle was fierce, but in the end, Charlemagne came out on top. He had defeated the Saxons, and he was now the ruler of their kingdom. But he wasn't done yet. He wanted to take over the entire north. Charlemagne turned his attention to Logris's kingdom. He sent messengers demanding that she bow down and submit to his rule, but she refused. Instead, she gathered her shield maidens and prepared to fight. When Charlemagne heard her defiance, he was furious. He led his army to her doorstep and demanded that she surrender. But Lagertha refused. She knew that if she gave in, her people would be next. The battle was epic. Men fought on horseback and on foot. Swords clashed and shields were broken. But in the end, Lagertha's forces were victorious. She had proven that she was a true warrior and her people were safe. For now, Lagertha continued to rule over her kingdom, and she became known as the greatest warrior queen of the north. Her legend has lived on for centuries, and her story continues to inspire people today. If you like stories like this one, stay tuned for more.